Number 10. Madeline Pryor. You might consider having Madeline on this list today cheating since she is a clone of Jean Grey, but I don't care, she deserves to be talked about. Originally the love interest and first wife of X-Men leader Cyclops, Madeline was a frequent member of the X-Men supporting cast until a series of terrible events. You know, her husband leaving, losing her son, and finding out she's actually a clone, which led her down a path of villainy. It's discovered that when Phoenix took her own life, a fragment of the Phoenix Force entered the body of the clone, and that's what gave her life and sentience, which Sinister took as an opportunity to attract Scott so that the two could procreate and make one of the most powerful mutants out there. Since Madeline was cloned from Jean Grey's DNA, she was essentially another version of Jean, and possessed Jean's telekinetic and telepathic abilities, although it's never stated if she was actually classified as an Omega level mutant as well. During the 2012 Avengers vs X-Men storyline, Mr. Sinister had created a group of 6 Madeline Pryor clones in order to take the Phoenix Force energies from the Phoenix 5, consisting of the Phoenix Force empowered Cyclops, Colossus, Emma Frost, Magik, and Namor. Unlike the original Madeline, none of these 6 clones showed indication of having individual personalities or free will, but instead appeared to follow Sinister completely. The Madeline Pryor clones joined Sinister's other clone creations in fighting the Phoenix 5 and managed to defeat each one. They also were able to siphon some of the energy from the Phoenix Force, but they were all immediately killed by the entity itself. Check her out for yourself, starting with 1983's Uncanny X-Men number 168. Number 9. Stepford Cuckoos. Known as 3-in-1 and then later 4-in-1, 5-in-1, and 1000-in-1, the Stepford Cuckoos are the product of Weapon XIV, or Weapon 14. Meaning they are clones created from the genetic template of Emma Frost that were created for the purpose of killing every mutant on Earth. Thousands of these clones exist dormant, however only 5 were sent to infiltrate the Xavier Institute in order to hone their skills and gain intel. As mutants with powers similar to Emma Frost, the girls have shown that they are capable of telepathy, mind alteration, astral projection, and the infamous organic diamond form that give them psionic immunity, super strength, stamina, and durability. However, what sets them apart from Frost is that the Cuckoos can selectively harden parts of their bodies as needed. During the War Song storyline, an unstable fraction of the Phoenix Force sparked inside the girls, and their dormant weapon plus nanotech inside their bones was activated. This nanotech briefly reanimated Sophie and Esme, who directed their sisters back to the world to activate Sublime's plan for the destruction of the mutant race. The Phoenix and Sublime both wrestled for control of the Cuckoos until the X-Men arrived. Phoebe and Mindy were captured and integrated into Sublime's machine, but the Phoenix was able to possess Celeste. When Celeste was finally merged into the machine, the Phoenix was divided between all the Cuckoos and trapped in their newly emerged second mutation, their organic diamond hearts. Eventually, Celeste was able to take full control of the Phoenix, destroyed her sisters, and trap the Phoenix fragments inside the 3-in-1's flawless diamond hearts, rendering them all emotionless. Check out these sisters for yourself, starting with their first appearance in 2001's New X-Men number 118. Number 8. Emma Frost, Earth 92124. Hailing from Earth 92124, an alternate reality where Amazonia conquered the world very early on, making females the dominant sex across the globe, slowly eliminating the male gene altogether, comes Emma Frost, the hero known as White Phoenix in this reality. This Emma Frost is said to possess all the powers of Emma Frost and the Phoenix Force, which already makes you think she's incredibly strong, and you'd be exactly right. These powers include, but are definitely not limited to, telepathy, mind cloaking, astral projection, mental paralysis, telekinesis, and of course, the organic diamond form that protects her from psychic attacks and also grants her super strength, stamina, and durability. White Phoenix was a member of the Avengers who worked with President Artoom and helped capture the Y-Men leader Hercules. However, all but White Phoenix had grown disillusioned with the President and teamed up with Hercules and Gorgon in confronting her. White Phoenix stayed by the President's side but was held hostage by Wolverine, unfortunately. Give this Emma story a read for yourself in 2009's Incredible Hercules number 124 to number 125. Number 7. Quentin QUIRE. Also known as Kid Omega, Quentin joined the Xavier Institute after Professor X's return from averting a war with Genosha and the rebuilding of the X-Mansion. QUIRE is depicted as an Omega-level mutant possessing advanced cognitive and telepathic abilities, which enable him to organize and construct his thoughts at accelerated rates, overtly or covertly manipulate the minds of others, resist mind probes, and disable other forms of psychic manipulation. His level of psychic influence on others depends on the number of people he wants to affect, meaning it's stronger when he focuses on less people, of course. After he was hurt pretty badly and was kept semi-alive in Beast's lab, he was found by the Phoenix Force, and although it didn't accept him as a host, it woke him up from his coma and reconstituted his body. He eventually heads out to find the Phoenix Force, and when he does, he winds up releasing it, asking it to revive Sophie, his love. Sophie refused to come back to life, and the Force left him to wallow in his own self-pity. Fast forward a bit and we see the Phoenix Force allow Quentin to absorb some of its power, which he ends up sacrificing to save Jubilee from dying. Now, although he didn't have it for long and didn't actually have access to the full powers of the Phoenix Force, he was still capable of interstellar travel, pyrokinesis, and of course, resurrection. Check out Quentin's story for yourself, starting with 2003's New X-Men number 134. Number 6. Hope Summers. the first mutant born after the House of M and Decimation storyline. According to Cable, the baby is a messianic figure destined to save both mutant and humankind, and he ends up becoming her adopted father. However, there were some who didn't agree with his decision, as there was a timeline where she kills everyone instead of saving them. Hope is an Omega level mutant with the ability of unspecified limits to psychically manipulate and mimic the powers of other mutants. This is generally shown as a mimicry of the superhuman mutant abilities of those near her. However, she has demonstrated additional powers, like when she was born, when she unleashed a massive psionic pulse that destroyed Cerebro. During the Avengers vs. X-Men storyline, Hope is targeted by the Phoenix Force, and the X-Men want her to accept it because it could revive the dwindling mutant race. The Phoenix Force arrives, and instead of possessing Hope, it possesses and forms the Phoenix 5, and she is taken away to safety. Having learned about a previous Phoenix host who is also trained to become the Iron Fist of her era, Hope visits UT, but UT is unable to help her directly, instead instructing her to learn from Spider-Man based on a vision that he had. Although uncertain if he can teach her, Spider-Man proceeds to tell Hope of his mantra of great power requiring great responsibility, giving her more to think about in her role as the host of the Phoenix Force. He also teaches her about patience, and with these lessons, Hope fights alongside Scarlet Witch against Cyclops, and she not only takes on the full power of the Phoenix and restores the mutant race, but she stops Cyclops in the process. With her destiny fulfilled, she is shown departing Utopia to find a new place for herself. Give her story a read starting with 2008's X-Men Volume 2, number 205. Number 5. Rachel Summers. Let's hop over to Earth 811 for a second to talk about Rachel Summers, aka Prestige, aka Marvel Girl, aka Phoenix. As an alternate reality daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers, Rachel inherited some pretty sweet powers. Classified as an Omega level mutant, she is shown to have inherited all of her mother's psionic abilities, with a few extras shown in there for fun. She can manipulate time, and is shown incredibly strong empathetic powers that enables her to control, manipulate, and alter the feelings, sensations, and emotions of other sentient beings. Rachel spent quite a while as a brainwashed quote-unquote hound for the authorities, forced to hunt down her fellow mutants before merging with the Phoenix Force, and was then considered the one true Phoenix, as all her abilities and capabilities were maxed out, and the only limit to her power was her own will and imagination. Hopeless might still love all things Jean, but Rachel has definitely proved a more successful host, as they state that adult Jean was definitely the most powerful, but she had her ups and downs, destroying a planet, killing her friends. Rachel, I think, rode that wave just a little bit better. Check out Rachel for yourself, starting with 1981's X-Men number 141. Number 4. Professor X. Already one of the most powerful mutants out there, and definitely one of the best known Marvel characters as well. Now, if you're not familiar with Charles Xavier's abilities, let me give you a quick reminder. He is an alpha level mutant said to possess the most powerful brain in existence. Because of this, he is said to be the world's greatest telepath, possessing vast psionic powers. Now, funnily enough, in one often overlooked X-Men storyline, Charles Xavier briefly wielded some of the Phoenix's power and was known as the Bald Phoenix. He became a member of the Starjammers, a group of space pirates, and was seriously injured pretty early on, slipping into a coma. He was still able to communicate with them telepathically though, and he eventually merged with the consciousness of the team ship to further assist them. His body seemingly dies in the stasis capsule he was kept in, but his consciousness lived on. Fast forward a bit and it is revealed that Falcon is actually the Phoenix Force, which was residing within the body of Excalibur's Rachel Summers at the time. Rachel had the Force drained from her body by Deathbird, and it was placed in a canister that was later transferred over to Charles. Months after that battle, it's revealed that the Phoenix Force completely revives Charles and imbued him with limited Phoenix Force abilities. Now, although he didn't possess the full power, he was still a formidable foe, trust me. I mean, that coupled with his unparalleled telepathic powers would make him one of the most powerful Phoenix hosts the Marvel Universe has ever seen. And considering the somewhat unnerving mental state he's had since founding the mutant nation Krakoa, Xavier could very well turn into Marvel's most dangerous Phoenix as well. Check out this lesser known storyline starting with 1990's X-Men Spotlight 1, Starjammers number 1. Number 3. Wolverine. Logan of Earth 14,412 mirrors his mainstream counterpart's history up to the point where King Loki completely wiped out the humankind to make his brother Thor suffer. Logan ended up dying, but was chosen as the new host of the Phoenix Force, and he began traveling the universe, wiping out celestial bodies to aid the universe as it met its slow death. After encountering a future Loki, Logan was convinced to go back in time and prevent Loki from ever gathering the Infinity Stones, which he gladly did because it gave Logan the opportunity to see his long dead friends one last time. After Wolverine returns to the future, he comes in contact with an old friend, Thor, and then much to Thor's surprise, Logan attacks him pretty much on sight. The two battle it out before eventually putting aside their differences to team up and take down a much bigger threat, Doom. Old Man Phoenix and Thor then face off against Doom, who reduced Logan to nothing but a skeleton with the Spirit of Vengeance's Hellfire, but Logan resurrected and sacrificed himself to transfer the Phoenix Force into Mjolnir, which helped Thor defeat Doom once and for all. Give this Logan story a read for yourself, starting with his first appearance in 2017's Marvel Legacy, number 1. Number 2. The Phoenix 5. During 2012's Avengers vs. X-Men storyline, the Phoenix Force is heading towards Earth, and the Avengers, obviously fearing the almighty entity, made Iron Man and Giant Man prepare a disruptor weapon to kill the Phoenix Force. Although instead of killing it, the blast alters the entity and divides it into 5 fragments, which forcefully bonds with 5 X-Men: Namor, Magik, Colossus, Emma Frost, and Cyclops. While the heroes tried to use this awesome power very gallantly and responsibly, they ended up leaving quite a bit of damage in their wake. Hopeless stated that they tried to do good things, and they ended up losing their minds, causing massive world problems and killing Charles Xavier in the process. Also, adding the fact that it seems the more good you try to achieve with this power, the more likely your efforts will backfire. Namor is the first to lose the fragment after being defeated by the Avengers, with Magik and Colossus pretty close behind after they were tricked into defeating each other. Emma Frost, half of the Phoenix Force, was later stolen by Cyclops to increase his power during the final battle with the Avengers and X-Men, and while Cyclops, yeah, he's a bit of a special case, so let's just focus on him for a bit. He was the last one to fall under the corrupted influence of the Phoenix Force and becomes Dark Phoenix after hosting all 5 fragments. But Jean Grey's essence convinces him to let the Phoenix leave his body as he is attacked by Hope Summers and the Scarlet Witch. He gets the Phoenix Force once again in order to decimate the Children of Tomorrow during the insertion between Earth 616 and Earth 1610, retaining the Phoenix even after the remaining universes crashed together, but eventually lost it one last time when he was killed by Doctor Doom. There's a little bit more to the story, but I will let you check it out for yourself, starting with the first appearance of the Phoenix 5 in 2012's Avengers vs. X-Men, number 5. And finally, number 1, Jean Grey, the most powerful and complete Phoenix Force and host combination around. While not acting as the avatar of the Phoenix Force, Jean is already a force to be reckoned with, as she is an Omega level mutant and one of the most powerful telepaths, telekinetics, and psions out there. Her abilities were suppressed at a young age by Charles Xavier after she connected with her dying friend, Annie Richardson. Jean's telepathy was activated when she was transported into the future where Xavier was dead. As stated by Death, Jean is the favored and true avatar of the Phoenix Force. As its avatar, she can greatly increase her powers by tapping into the life energies of those who haven't been born yet. The Phoenix Force also allows its avatars to manifest additional powers, especially in terms of Jean as its quote-unquote host, house, and self. These powers include interstellar travel, cosmic pyrokinesis, immortality, and existence mastery, which means she is able to control the entirety of existence. Now, as I said before, Jean is the strongest and most complete host of the Phoenix Force, and as such, she is even capable of forcibly ripping it out of another host and forcing its status upon herself. There was even a period of time that the two completely merged together and became the White Phoenix of the Crown, allowing her to access the full capabilities of the Almighty Phoenix. Check out Jean and her story for yourself, starting with her first appearance in 1963's X-Men, number 1.
Number 10, Iceman. Bobby Drake made his first X-Men debut in X-Men issue 1. Now his powers are pretty obvious. I mean, even his name alone should tip you off. He can lower his external and internal body temperature because there are nerves that regulate body temperature, and they're found in a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. See, Bobby can override this nerve drastically. His mutation allows him to withstand sub-zero temperatures and turn into ice within seconds. He can fully control ice, snow, probably snow cones, realistically. He can freeze the moisture in the air, just like Frozone, and create anything that he imagines. He can also create cold clones of himself on a molecular level, so you won't even see him coming, but you'll definitely feel it. Number 9, ELIXIR. Josh Foley made his comic book debut in New Mutants Volume 2, Issue 5. Now he was detected by Cerebro, and his Omega power is actually quite helpful in this case. See, he obtains an Omega class healing ability, and around M-Day he was actually considered a general threat, weirdly enough. See, ELIXIR is able to control the biological structure of his and others' bodies. I mean, down to the genetic level. He can produce biomolecular energy whenever he chooses, affecting any matter that he chooses to come into contact with. So if he uses his powers too much, he'll pass out and just remain in a coma. It takes a toll on him. His DNA reboots itself, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I get a bruise and it hangs out for like an entire week. What's going on there? He was able to regrow Prodigy's heart in New X-Men Volume 2, Issue 39, and he cured X-23 of the legacy virus, and Josh himself says that he can cure Sabretooth from the inversion effect. What a combo. This guy can also bring people back from the dead. You can't really beat that. Number 8, Legion. David Haller made his comic debut in New Mutants issue 26. He was a child of Xavier and Gabrielle Haller, who later became the Israel ambassador to the United Kingdom. So the parents, I mean, there's a lot of pressure there already. See, he was kind of an accident. It happens. The pair had an affair decades back, but Charles was unaware that she was pregnant when he left her. Now the child was of course born a mutant with telepathic and telekinetic abilities, but he also had the ability to cause destruction with just his mind. The old Charles gene coming into play. Scott Summers describes David as Omega level, and the reason he's named Legion, well, it comes from the biblical demon Legion, where a man was possessed by many evil spirits, because David has 3 different personalities. All the powers with all the personalities. That's a scary, you don't want that. You don't want to run into him. Number 7, Kid Omega. I mean, yeah, Omega is literally in his name, so we have to include Kid Omega. Meet Quintavious QUIRE. He made his first appearance in X-Men issue 134. He's been described as one of the most powerful telepaths next to Jean Grey, who may or may not be on this list later on. I'll never tell. But he was once a host of the Phoenix Force as well. He was one of Xavier's prized pupils until he put together the Omega Gang. He wasn't always a bad kid. It's just, you see, what happened was on his birthday, when he was still young, he received a call from his parents to say that, oh, you're adopted. Happy birthday. Awesome. And these kids are the hardest gang in town. They handle humans the way that they want, with violence, cool haircuts, and monologues, of course. Now, he's been described as Omega level telepath and telekinetic and scion. Not bad for a kid. Number 6, Vulcan. He named himself after the Roman god of fire, so you already know that we're But Vulcan's real identity was that of Gabriel Summers. See, he was born after Cyclops and after Havoc. Well, not really born, he was surgically removed from his mother's body and then placed in an incubator accelerator, aged to be at his prime, and then sent to Earth to work for Devon Shikari. So a little bit different than the other guys. He escaped and was found by Moira McTaggart with no memories of who he is or where he came from, which is always good. But as a student, he was impressing Charles a lot, and all he wanted to do really was learn his abilities so he can help others. You can't beat that, come on, the guy, he's got a good heart. Sounds like the dream student. Now, he can psionically manipulate energy however he wants. He can manipulate other mutant powers, and that's the scary part with Vulcan. He suppresses all of your superpowers. Emma Frost, Rachel Gray, and Xavier have all confirmed that after the events of M-Day, this alpha level mutant absorbed energies from the depowered mutants and then became an Omega level 1 himself. Number 5, Storm. Aurora Monroe made her debut in Giant-Sized X-Men issue 1. She was recruited by Charles and joined the team to save other original students from Krakoa. Now, she was appointed leader after several years of hard work, and Storm has been referred to as a witch before because her powers to control the air and the elements, all that jazz. I mean, fair, she's kind of witch-like. Now, things go up a notch in X-Men issue 135 during the Dark Phoenix saga. Sebastian Shaw calls her a weather witch. Adds the word weather before, okay, it's a bit specific. See, it's not just storms in Earth that Aurora can control, even in space she can summon natural energy. Doesn't matter where you are, she'll find you. Number 4, Mr. M. Mr. M first appeared in District X issue 2. His powers came to be after an accident, like most of them. See, he accidentally turned a boy bullying his cousin inside out, and then he was stuck like that for 3 hours. That's the worst thing I can think of, I think. He didn't have lots of friends, I mean, obviously. The only ones close to him was Hannah Levy, who was not an Omega level mutant per se, but she did eat bugs. After M-Day, Mr. M himself was one of the few who kept his powers. Now, those Omega level powers being, well, I mean, this guy can literally do it all. He can control machines, resurrect the dead, phase through objects, manipulate matter, telekinesis, telepathy, and much, much more. Number 3, Proteus. Kevin McTaggart is of course related to Moira McTaggart, as you could have guessed right then. Now, he's the son of her and her husband Joseph. Now, their marriage was awful. Joseph was a total piece of shit. He was abusive physically and mentally, so Moira got out of there. She didn't even tell Joseph that she was pregnant, and to be honest, that's probably for the best. Guy's the worst. So young Kevin and Moira lived together at her mutant research center off the coast of Scotland. Now, Kevin, as he got older, manifested abilities, which basically was this uncontrollable need for power. See, he craved it, his body needed it, so Moira had to hide him. She kept him locked in a cell for years, only referred to as Mutant X, because she wanted to keep him safe, and also others, you know? So one day, while Magneto was fighting the X-Men, his cell was damaged and he got out. Now, since the isosteric energy in his cell was no longer holding him back, Kevin defeated Polaris, he defeated Multiple Man, and even escaped the Phoenix. He survived the Phoenix, that's crazy. Now, his body was starting to burn out, like Moira tried to prevent all this time. So the only solution here was that he had to possess another human host, and then another one after that, and so on and danforth. Now, he renames himself Proteus, with his imagination being the only thing that limits his powers. He's made of psionic energy, and he too can warp reality. Every time he possesses a new host, he gets stronger and stronger until eventually the host burns out and then he has to possess another poor soul. What a horrible, vicious cycle. Number 2, Franklin Richards. I was the impossible boy who could dream the future. I was a god, born to be with the mutants, but also born into the Fantastic Four, which means I have twice as many enemies. Damn, you could say that again, Franklin. He was born in New York City. Franklin Richards is the son, of course, of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, and he is quoted from Galactus himself as the most powerful mutant ever. That is quite, put that on a resume, that sounds great. He's a mutant beyond Omega power, in fact. See, Franklin was a member of Gen X, and he's also a future X-Men member in the Ultimate X-Men comics. Now, some of his powers include vast reality warping, psionic powers, he has control over the universe, so that's cool, must be nice. Precognitive powers are also helpful even when he's dreaming. His dreams will tip him off on the future and what's going to happen in them. Now, the only dreams I have are the ones where my teeth are falling out, or I can't run and my legs are made of rubber or something like that, you know? It's not as fun. He can resurrect the dead, he can time travel, he can teleport, astral project, and he can duplicate planets and or people. So if your eyebrows aren't raised yet, that's fine, I can continue. At a young age, he was able to create a pocket universe. And in Fantastic Four issue number 604, this kid took not only one, but 3 Celestials. One of them, he laid them out with just one punch. So impressive. And finally, number 1, Jean Grey. Of course, we have to end on Jean Grey. She is an Omega level mutant born with telekinetic and telepathic powers. She was one of the OG members of the X-Men. Now, seeing the potential in Jean's strength, the Phoenix Force attached itself to her while she was in space with the Fantastic Four. It was drawn to her natural power. See, Xavier himself felt like he had to hide her true powers from her when she was just a child. He locked some of her abilities away in her mind. So the Phoenix Force was like, I smell something, what is that? What's hiding somewhere? So this dark cosmic force started to change her, and she didn't just get more powerful, she ended up becoming, well, low-key, she kind of became a villain. She ended up destroying an entire solar system that killed like, I don't know, billions of people, and then she took her own life in order to keep the universe safe. Now, a few years later, it was actually revealed that it wasn't the Jean Grey that had died, just the Phoenix as a separate entity, which is, that's better, that's definitely better.
Number 10, Blackheath. Blackheath is Samuel Smithers. Yep, in the reality of 1610, Plant Man is instead a mutant. His powers are similar to that of Poison Ivy, allowing him to control plant life. Blackheath was one of the mutants who was kept in William Stryker's camps. While there, he ended up meeting and befriending Storm, and would be one of the few mutants left when Utopia came about. Number 9, Mach 2. Mach 2 is Nomi Bloom. She is kind of like the second coming of Magneto, but not as much of a villain. Or at least, she comes around in the end. And not inherently as powerful as Magneto was. She can basically affect and control magnetic fields. Later on, she would see a power boost, which would enable her to have more control over objects containing metal. Mach 2 is also known for being a rival to Kitty in terms of her leadership over the surviving mutants of Utopia. People are gonna be like, what is Utopia? And I'm gonna be like, don't worry. We're getting to that much later, but it's coming. It's slowly you'll get little bits of information. Number 8, Zorn. In the reality of Earth 1610, Zorn is actually Zorn, but is not the only version of Zorn. Wow, that sounded confusing. What I mean to say is that Zorn is his own person, Kuan Yin, but has a sibling who's also named Zorn, but with a Z. They were each given their powers as part of the Southeast Asian Republic's Super Soldier program. Zorn with an X is the one who you typically see clad in the color white. He is an amazingly powerful telepath and telekinetic. While both characters may have been introduced later and have been somewhat short-lived, they are both presented as being pretty powerful during their time in the comics. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 7, Zorn. This is the sibling I was telling you about. Zorn with a Z or a Z is Shen Yin, the brother of Zorn with an X. His powers are much darker in nature. It's actually believed in the comics that Zorn and Zorn were sort of destined to bring a sense of balance to the world and mutant kind, symbolically sort of representing yin and yang, black and white. Zorn's powers are basically akin to a black hole. He emits a black hole energy and can use his powers to manipulate gravity. In the end, Zorn sacrifices himself when he realizes that he cannot win in the war against the children of tomorrow. In his death, he effectively becomes a black hole in retaliation. Number 6, Colossus. A strong mutant on Earth 616 and in 1610. Initially, Pyotr Rasputin did not possess super strength as part of his power set, but was given a drug called Banshee to enhance his strength, as well as a job working for the Russian mafia. Eventually, he ended up joining the X-Men, though he would leave the team on a few separate occasions. He'd managed to hold off Scarlet Witch, save a submarine that not even the Ultimates were capable of saving, and defeat Proteus, David Xavier, Xavier's son, who threatened the entire entire world with violence, traveling around and targeting international landmarks the world over. Differences between Colossus of Earth 1610 and that of Earth 616 is that here he isn't inherently strong, as I said before, in his steel form, but needs Banshee to give him that boost. And he's also gay. He even for a time dates fellow mutant Northstar. Number 5. Jimmy Hudson. Jimmy Hudson is the son of Wolverine. He also inherited his claws, superior senses, and regenerative healing factor. Like his dad, it's believed that his powers may actually be based in survival as opposed to just healing, with James being seen as adapting to survive injury or harsh environments as needed. Unlike Wolverine, Jimmy can choose to coat his claws in metal, as this is actually part of his power set, and it's believed that only his claws end up being coated, not the rest of his skeleton. Jimmy was a crucial member of the mutant resistance, which fought against Sentinel and militia attacks that threatened to wipe out the mutants. In the end, the mutants were victorious and were given a choice of going to live on their own piece of land in Utah or taking a cure for their mutation. Jimmy was one of the few mutants who decided to keep his powers. Number 4. Storm. Initially in the Ultimate Universe, Storm didn't have great control over her powers, and mostly got by stealing cars, but after the X-Men took her in, she learned how to control and even master her powers, allowing her to become one of the most fearsome and powerful mutants around. Ultimate Storm is so cool. Storm is so fast, she has been shown to be able to catch people who are falling in midair, dodge bullets, and even keep pace with a plane. Impressive considering planes on average travel at speeds over 540 miles per hour or over 870 kilometers per hour. That's fast. She's also likely not someone you want to tangle with, as even when she takes hits in battles, she tends to keep fighting or instinctively strike back. Using her lightning storm and weather control powers, she's also managed to defeat multiple opponents with one single attack, whether they be Sentinel opponents or human opponents, and in some cases, even killing them. I think at one point she kills like 11 people at once, and it's just like, okay. Don't mess with Storm. Got it. I mean, I already knew that before from Earth 616, but now I really know. Number 3, Jean Grey. In Ultimates, it almost seems there is nothing Jean can't do. Before she joined the X-Men, she was in a mental institution as the manifestation of her powers made her seem insane. However, Professor X would save Jean and recruit her on his X-Men team, with her being the second member. In the Ultimate Universe, we have seen Jean become possessed by what she thought was a cosmic entity referred to as the Phoenix God, and almost lose control and her sanity. The biggest problem with Jean is similar to that of her Earth 616 counterpart. Immense power threatens to basically break her mind, or at least take over her sense of sanity. In the comics, Jean is not only a skilled telepath, and was even able to read Wolverine's mind, something Professor X believed wasn't even possible, but she also happens to, weirdly enough, be a skilled doctor and surgeon as well, although I'm pretty sure she doesn't have any medical license. Say what? Jean was even shown to be capable of connecting and tapping into the multiverse to reach out and see various versions of herself. Basically, she can do everything, because being a telepath is crazy powerful. Number 2, Magneto. Obviously, one of the most powerful mutants out there has to be Magneto, not just for the powers of magnetism that he wields, but also just for his influence. Magneto was the mastermind behind Ultimatum. I suppose I should use the term mastermind lightly there, as Ultimatum in general is not really seen very favorably in most fans' eyes. I admit it was controversial and caused a lot of perhaps needless death. In fact, I would say it was needless death. But you have to acknowledge just how much of a threat it painted Magneto out to be. While I'm not sure about Magneto basically committing genocide as a victim of one himself, you have to admit that this made him one of the most fearsome characters in all of the Ultimate Universe. And for Magneto, there is power in fear, even though oddly enough, it is usually fear that tends to power the hate that he often stands up against. Number 1, Kitty Pryde. One of the most powerful characters as a leader especially. She ends up becoming the ruler of the mutant tent nation that the mutants dub Utopia. This is a portion of land in Utah that the mutants who choose not to accept the cure are given. In fact, all those who refuse to take the cure are forced to live there. Kitty ends up fighting a war against Jean Grey in the Ultimate Universe as well, because Jean wants Kitty to join the mutant nation that she was put in charge of ruling after the death of Zorn with an X, Xian. but Kitty refuses to bring their people together. Kitty is such a good leader, she even steps down from her title as the leader of Utopia to help ease the target on her own people's backs because of her and Jean's conflict. Kitty and Utopia would end up winning that war, and Kitty would also play a crucial role in defeating Galactus as well. Also, I gotta say, that whole World War X thing, it was pretty weird. It was pretty weird, friends.